Well, hello me lovelies, it's me Ned Natter, and I'm here to chatter. I hope I'll get to brighten your day. I love to gossip after a long day of taking care of things down here on me Florida farm. But first, it's great to be with you again. Thank you so much for your lovely comments and messages. Today I want to natter about a few things, but first up, I need to mention that I don't talk about the news, current affairs. We're all sick and tired of it. You don't want me reminding you of everything you've already heard or seen, do you? Me show's here to give you a break from it all, a good laugh, even if it is only once a week on a Wednesday. By the way, you can always listen to all my shows again at the website, nednatter.com. Yep, okay, well, put everything down. No, everything, I mean you too, come on. It's time for the Ned Natter Show. And you can't afford to miss this. Before I run off and tell you more, let's have a look round the farm, eh? But believe me, I got a headache last time, thinking about how ghastly all that nanotechnology could be. To be honest, it put me right off me food for a few days. So I went and tried that, vitamin water, and even wondered if that might be nano water. Oh dear. This is Ned Natter here with the Ned Natter Show, and when I'm not here you can always find me and my shows at nednatter.com. Me daughter Dolly's pet ram Butt has been duped. Yep, after attacking me poor farm cat young Charles last time, the poor cat decided the only way to retaliate was not to run, but climb up on the lamb's back and control him like a rodeo rider. The whole thing lasted all of 10 seconds before the feisty little ram managed to shake young Charles off and butt him senseless all over again. Ding dang me farmhand drove all of 50 miles, yep, a record for him, to the closest big city. He came back though, a nervous wreck. Apparently folks began following him round the store and talking behind his back. That's what he reckoned. He got paranoid, asked me what they, why do they do that kind of thing? I told him it wasn't that normal, but neither's the Confederate flag that he's just got tattooed on his neck. I think they were working out a way of taking it down. Trouble is, it meant getting up close and personal with Ding Dang. Not a pleasant thought, I can tell you. Anyway, whichever way you see it, that's one flag that's staying up for the foreseeable future. It only hits the ground after about, about a dozen buds, that is, yeah. If you remember, I'm going to be best man for me lawyer brother, Nelson Natter, in Beverly Hills. He's set a date and he's marrying a Japanese-American sex therapist. Oh, that's a mouthful, isn't it? They're all the rage in La La Land, apparently. Sex therapists, that is, not Japanese Americans. So, I guess, unlike his other 3 wives, this one will at least listen to Nelson's problems. And believe me, he's got more than a few. I mentioned before that he's invited me old mum, Nan Natter, and she's itching to live with me in me rented RV. Me wife Elsie is not invited. She hates Nelson. Mostly because he represented her mother. Yup, the dreaded mother-in-law. In the contract, it was with the Hollywood studio. See the wife's mother, Satana Troglodyte. I call her Satan for short, Sometimes I just M-I-L when the wife's in range. Really, I prefer M-I-A. But I'm never that lucky. Anyway, the MIL has been in a few films. That's right. Mostly monster movies. like, the original Godzilla, King Kong, and a few others. But Nelson, oh dear, didn't see the clause about how she could be replaced by CGI at any time. And the MIL lost out badly to CGI. Believe me, the original was the most terrifying. Yeah, can't beat it. Well, I'm sure you've heard every joke, haven't you, about, mother-in-laws. Yeah, just like a bit of a cliche sometimes, aren't they? I've heard some men, though, even say they like their mother-in-laws. They are simply called the minority. There's not a single thing I like about mine. Well, other than the fact that she lives more than 2,000 miles away. It's hardly slipper distance, is it? There we go again. I mean flipper distance. But she does move around a bit, though. Yep, the old mother-in-law. Yep, the Pacific Ocean gets colder in the winter, so she heads south and overwinters off Barra somewhere. They're calling that place now, the Mexican Rectangle. Bit like the Bermuda Triangle, only nothing survives an encounter with Satana Troglodyte. The most terrifying part of her is the barnacles on her forehead, and everything else that clings to her, But on the other hand, I suppose barnacles don't have eyes, and they stick to just about anything, don't they? No problems there. And, well, then there's the old, the hair, Well, the mother-in-law had long green hair until I discovered it was actually 6 feet of seaweed. By the way, they say before getting married to a woman, always take a look at her mother, don't they? To see what might be in store later. Well, that's not so easy when your mother-in-law lives on the bottom of the ocean, is it? Anyway, if I'd have married a sex therapist instead of a monster, I'd have probably never got out of bed. There'd be lots of things to discuss, for one. And then there's the experimentation part, isn't there? Oh well. This is Ned Natter here with the Ned Natter Show. And when I'm not here, you can find me at nednatter.com. Well, my lovelies, I'm always getting nice messages from you, my listeners. But from time to time, I get the odd question too. So in this season, I'm featuring in my shows. But last time, not only did I get a question, I got a reminder what happened to me agony uncle feature. Well, oh dear. It's now back in full swing, and the questions have been pouring in. So, this time, I've decided to have a go again and feature a few in my show. If you remember, from way back I became an agony uncle after I booted one of my hens at night, and afterwards realised it wasn't an hen at all. Oh dear, it was an anvil. Anyway, some of these will make you think. I've got it all here on the Ned Natter Show. Right then, the first of my agony questions comes from Bill in Billings, Montana. He says he read this article that said that as men get older, they think more about sex and more about mortality, while younger men think less about sex and more about immortality. Oh, that's something to think about, isn't it? Bill wants to know, though, how I feel about it, because he's just confused. Well, Bill, you have a point. It is confusing. See, in my own case, I think mostly about how much sex I can fit in between now and the end. My old blacksmith buddy sums it up this way. Strike while the iron's hot. But then again, in my family, age has little to do with desire. I mean, take me old mum, Nan Natter. Well, if you do, I'll make it worth your while. But give me at least 5 minutes notice so I can carry her down to the gate for you. See, away from drinking, old Nan thinks about sex constantly. Yep, I know, it's a very nasty thought, isn't it? Even after my old dad died, he'd hardly been ploughed in, and she was chasing another much younger man. The relationship lasted for nearly 6 months too, only it went wrong when he went to take his driving test. Well, so he could drive her to a bingo twice a week. Unfortunately, he failed the test. Yep, on account of his very poor eyesight. Anyway, within 2 weeks, he had new specs and an incredible -7 prescription. A few days later, he was applying for another kind of licence. Yep, a boat captain's licence, so he could get away from Nan. He now saw her in a different light. In other words, he could see her. Either way, we never saw him again. Since then, it's just been a bunch of flings for her, you know. Yep, she flings herself at men, all right. Oh dear. Usually a fling lasts, 2, sometimes as long as, say, 6 hours. Yep. She plies them with whiskey, see, until they're nearly unconscious. Then she tries to revive them. Some come round and stagger away at double time. Others just play dead. I think the best way out of the situation really is the sedation. Yep, that's right, for old Nan. On the other matter, mortality, that is. Old Nan never worries. After all, a fossil can't get much any older, can it, really? Right then, my next question. Oh, let's have a look at this. It comes from Ingrid in Indiana. And she's still worried about genetically modified food. That's GMOs, yep. Oh dear. You know, I considered genetically modified battery hen a while back. See, it don't stink, it don't eat. Any problems, it don't lay eggs either. Most of the time, it needs some new batteries. GMO affects us all. What with fish genes in the tomatoes and short straw. Well, we all know what it's like to get the short straw sometimes, eh? Well, Ingrid, I know the old GMO thing got out of control for a while. Now everyone's saying their products are non-GMO. But how do they know? I mean, you know, see, the GMO stuff like corn seems to seep into everything we eat, doesn't it? Particularly processed foods. So I guess the wife Elsie is pretty much stuff full of GMO ingredients, eh? I'm not sure whether there's any covert operations to create GMO people yet. But genetics, they are a problem all round. Me farmhand Ding Dang is completely short of them, of course. Well, me distant relative Skip Natter seems to be the only member of my extended family with criminal genes. And he relies on them constantly. Either way, my genes are always telling me to disown him. On the subject of GMO animals, apparently the FDA so far, they've okayed a GMO version of salmon. But the GMO experiment, on the hens turned out to be a dismal failure. See, they genetically engineered square eggs. Easy to store, transport and slice up when boiled. Everything seemed to be just perfect. Oh dear. See, they'd forgotten about how to get the eggs out of the hen. Square ones didn't fit in round holes. It's that old square peg round hole debate, isn't it? Well, in this case, more of a debacle than debate, I'd say, if you ask me. My next question comes from Macy from Marysville in Pennsylvania. She's concerned about her husband's internet searches. Well, she reckons they change depending on who's in the room. If she walks in, he's always searching diesel engine problems. But when she looked back in his browser history, she noticed things like gorgeous redhead babes, blondes with long legs, I wondered if I knew about any connection with diesel engines and redheads. Oh dear. Well, Macy, I did have a red-headed diesel mechanic once. But I wouldn't have described him as gorgeous. You know, he used to smell funny and had black nostrils. Yeah, always picking his nose he was. You did mention, though, another search about why aren't me hens laying. Well, I could have answered that for you, dear. Yep. What you need to do is say to your husband, get off the internet for a few hours and go feed him. Well, might be a starting point anyway. Last up, this time, I've got a weird question from Denise in Detroit. It concerns the decriminalisation of hard drugs in Oregon. She's concerned about two things. Oh, only two, Denise? Anyway, well, she's worried about the loss of jobs and income for all those hard-working drug dealers out there. She reckons it's a conspiracy by the big drug companies to sell more of theirs and take over. Oh dear. Anyway, on your last question, Denise, I've got no idea about the real estate price in Oregon, my dear. You'll have to go and look that up yourself. This is Ned Natter here with the Ned Natter Show, and when I'm not here, you can find me and my shows at nednatter.com. Anyway, moving along. My nudist neighbour, old Fred, has managed to pick up a new woman. Yep, he met her in a museum. And I thought, oh, things are looking up. Old Fred getting cultural and all that. Well, that was of course before I found out she was one of the exhibits. Oh dear. Last time I said I need to reconsider book reviews, when old Fred gave me a copy of his friend Richard Chilly Willies Johnson's famous book on nudism. Well, seems that old Johnson has become famous overnight. Trouble is, I haven't asked what for. Yeah, well, let's hope it's for his nudism book and nothing else, eh? I've still had no reports from Rush, my political commentator, yet. I gave him the only copy of the Nudist Manifesto. He's either reading it in instalments, in the toilet, or worse still, he's tearing the pages out and using it for something else in there. This is Ned Natter here with the Ned Natter Show. When I'm not here, you can find me and my shows at nednatter.com. I've got a new feature this week. Dum dum da. Yep, a new one. It's called Anomalies from Around the World. And no, I'm not talking about myself again. In each show, I'm going to feature something unusual about a particular country. This time, I chose Sweden. Yep, they seem to be fond of acronyms. Yep, acronyms. So I'm giving you a couple of examples and how things have changed too. You got ABBA. Everyone knows ABBA. A-B-B-A. Yep, very famous, very famous. And that's made up their names, isn't it? Agnetha, Bjorn, Benny and Annifrid. Yep. And of course the famous Swedish thing is the car maker, and it's Saab, S-A-A-B, of course. There's been no change to the lineup of ABBA in more than 4 years. But Saab is another story. Due to all this political correctness, they've had to fire all the men completely from the firm. Oh dear. So now Saab is Sylvia, Agnetha, Annifrid and Beatrice. Still on the international scene, there's been a resurgence of global warming chatter this year. But they seem to be missing the point, don't they? Chatting about power stations when the real problem is gas. And it's an international problem of scale. Some nations produce more gas than others based on their diets. Curry eaters, big bean scoffers, onion fans, and cruciferous vegetable folks are all guilty, aren't they? You can't just blame the cows or even your unfortunate pets any longer. Oh no, politeness is no longer needed. Just let it out and be honest about it. My ass is hurting the ozone layer. Well, maybe mine more than others, eh? I actually think the Natter family have got their own hole, you know. No. You missed me the point there. You know what I mean, in the ozone layer. That's right. This is Ned Natter here with the Ned Natter Show, and when I'm not here, you can find me at nednatter.com. As you know, me lovely vegan neighbour young Alice has been inviting me over to her farm for coffee and vegan cake once a week. She's finally a happier soul. Mercury is out of retrograde. Oh dear, well that's good, isn't it? So far, the wife, Elsie, hasn't sent on the Valentine's card I mailed to Alice. Maybe she's burned it, or she's planning on confronting me soon. Either way, Alice did me horoscope this time, and it wasn't too bad, you know. Well, she reckoned things can only get better. So I said, well, young Alice, you know, they couldn't get any bleeding worse, could they? She also mentioned an article she'd read that stated how men that care about the environment are more attractive to women. Oh dear, well, it seems commitment to an eco-friendly lifestyle runs alongside commitment in a relationship too. Well, I started to get a bit hot, you know, behind my ears that is. See, it's true, I do care about the environment. And young Alice is very easy on the eye too. But I'm not committed to the wife at all. I decided to head on home before young Alice had any other psychological gems for me. Well, I ended up, you know, like a pickled beetroot colour. Really embarrassing before we left the place. This is Ned Natter here with the Ned Natter Show, and when I'm not here you can find me and my shows at nednatter.com. My neighbour and part-time political commentator Old Rush has always got something to say. And when I told him I was nattering about GMO, he was ready with something unique. And believe me, you need to be ready for this one. Yep. His folks have scientists working night and day, he says, to create genetically modified voters. Old Rush reckons they can't go wrong. Well, they're planting the Republican gene deep in the sequence, he says. And when older, these folks will only vote one way. Never swing, never deviate. Then as usual, Old Rush is ready with his standard statement. Yep, sorry, gotta go, Ned. And off he goes. But you know, his dash has just got shorter. He's just had one of them, you know, those porta-potties dropped off in the middle of his front yard. Yep, an ugly blue one too. Hardly blends with a green environment, does it? See, his usual emergency stopping place, the big old granddaddy oak, was beginning to die off. Now, with this new phenomenon, there's a downside. Yep, he got back to me before I could drive away. Oh dear. Rush had his latest news to offer me too, you know. Oh dear, the Democrats are secretly into building the wall. He reckons to keep the immigrants in. He says they want people to do all the dirty work. Then they'll give them citizenship and add voters forever. Oh dear, this time I had to rush off. This is Ned Natter here with the Ned Natter Show, and when I'm not here you can find me and my shows at nednatter.com. By the way, me long lost relative Skip Natter has got into big trouble with his scam riddled mail order business. Mostly for sending out empty boxes. His warehouse was raided a few days ago, but Skip slipped away with the help of one of his cash-in-hand employees. This time in a huge box sent by UPS. He turned up here on the farm yesterday. Oh well, it's the first time I've ever had to sign for a fugitive. Well, I'm on that subject, you know, the con man front. Me agent 50% has lined me up a new ad this week. He's been at it again, looking over me show notes, and seeing I was nattering about GMO, he's lined up a new ad. Well, anyway, here goes me lovelies. Have you ever considered leaping on the genetic modification bandwagon? Well, now you can with our complete do-it-yourself genetic engineering kit. From the comfort of your own home, you can learn to genetically modify most things. Whether it's ridding your family of annoying traits for good, or simply removing the stink from your favourite dog breed. We've got everything you need, and remember, we've got success stories too to back up our claims. Like the hybrid man? Yup, he is really unique and he's dubbed the Safe Keeping Project. Genetically engineered with his testicles on the inside. The clawless cat, great for furniture. And last but not least, the clueless bimbo, great for anybody. Think about the future. Picture this genetically modified opportunity today. Visit us now at rippedgenes.gmo. Low interest financing is always available to unqualified buyers. Oh dear, and I thought GMO eggs were weird enough. I'm surprised old 50% isn't looking into a kind of GMO tree. Yup, a money tree. This is Ned Natter here with the Ned Natter Show, and when I'm not here you can find me and my shows at nednatter.com. Whichever way you dice it, the Ned Natter Show is usually unpasteurised, unfiltered and never genetically modified. Although, rumour has it, I might benefit from some kind of modification myself. Well, that's all me lovelies, and on that note I better go. So until next time, I'm Ned Natter. Just remember, farmers are getting older, some more than others. It's time some new blood came down the farm and gave us an hand. Shite matters, without us you wouldn't have anything to eat. Without me, well, your Wednesdays wouldn't be so much fun, would they? In the meantime, you can find me and my shows at nednatter.com, along with them social media links. Come by and say hi. And just a little note that all my new shows are going up on YouTube now. Oh yeah, so you can always subscribe there too. Have a look. Thanks so much for listening. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and I hope you'll join me on the Ned Natter Show again. So until next time, keep a smile on your face. Think positive and don't sweat the small stuff. The grass is not always greener on the other side. It might just be a freeway. Goodbye, lovelies.